1999, Morpheus offered Neo a choice between a red pill and a blue pill. In 2018, this country fractured between red and blue. In 2022, I'm here to tell you that if you really want the truth, more voters are neither red or blue. Yet, they have no representation, no choice, and no options. They have to choose between candidates chosen by the red people or the blue people. I'm David Esrati, and I'm running for Congress as an American, as in red, white, and blue. I'm a veteran, an activist, and a small businessman. I'm asking you to join me in reminding the professional politicians in Congress who their bosses are. I support ranked choice voting, campaign finance reform, and a verified voter information system, all so we can stop having the best politicians money can buy. It's time to elect a veteran who will work for you, no matter what color they want to label you. Please go to electesrati.com and learn more. I'm David Esrati, and I approve this message. Jurassic Park, you thought those little baby dinosaurs were cute until they turned into out-of-control carnivores. That's sort of what happens to government when we elect people based on very expensive advertising campaigns and propaganda. I'm David Esrati. I'm a veteran and a small businessman running for Congress. You don't want professional ad people and pollsters to sway your vote. All those hot-button issues like gun control, abortion, borders are all politicized to stop you from voting rationally. And thinking rationally seems to be in short supply these days. Most Americans have been voting against their own best self-interest for a long time because we've allowed money to buy our leaders. 1 million Americans died in the last. Small businessman who won't sell you out to corporate interests and lobbyists. I can tell you that it's time to fully understand the consequences of companies like Amazon, Facebook, and Google and their effect on small business. And to remind you that small business is the #1 creator of jobs in this country. So this next election, don't trust this ad or any other political ad. Do your homework and think before you vote. It's time to put this ad man in Congress because I know that the best advertising is based on the truth, not the size of the budget or payola. Or you can just vote based on who has the money to buy their way into Congress and live with the consequences. I'm David Esrati, and I approve this message. Hi, I'm David Esrati. Thank you for joining. I'm running for Congress, Ohio 10, which is currently a red seat. We want to turn it blue, November 8th. And today I'm going to talk about something that's near and dear to my heart. Actually, I gave a PK presentation a long time ago. PK, in case you don't know, is Pachakacha, which looks like Pechakucha if you just spell it out normally. And it was about how basically people do coin flip politics in the United States because we break everything down to a choice of 2 candidates, ketchup or mustard, or something red, something blue. And one of the suggestions was ranked choice voting, but the problem there is when given a whole lot of choices, how do voters decide who they should vote for? Current system is basically we sell our office to the highest bidder. $15 billion in the last federal election cycle. I don't know how many yard signs or bad TV commercials you saw, but that's supposed to be what informs you on who the better candidate is. And we see all kinds of stupidity. Most voters don't really have time to invest and spend, being political junkies like the people that are probably watching this right now. And if you'd like to be acknowledged, please send a message. You can chat and I can respond. But, the time it takes to inform yourself of an who's running and what their stances are isn't made easy. Everybody builds their own website. Every website's different. That may have a platform. They may say this, they may say that, and then you got to compare the two. And by the time you go down all the list of all the candidates, you're sitting there saying, oh my, so many choices. Especially if we move away from this primary system that's really screwed up and go to ranked choice, where you could have 10, 15, 20 candidates for each seat, and you have to decide and rank them in order of first to last. So what we need is what I call a voter information system. And this should be at all levels of politics, from school board on up to president. And what would happen is we would actually have official, just like you sign up to run, you fill in your petition papers and everything else, we'd have a site that you sign up as a candidate and you've got your, supporters, and we would provide you with a website that you can build any way you want within the structure and tell us anything you want. But here's the key. We would actually have you take a test. Why would we have you take a test? And why does this sound like even remotely like a smart idea? Well, I got this idea from a dating site, actually. And there's a site called I Stand With that does the same thing. Or I Side With, I'm sorry. And basically you answer questions of what are important on questions, political questions. Like, I believe climate change is real. And you say yes or no. And the candidate would answer the question. I believe climate change is real, yes or no. And then you would rank how important it is. Is this very important to you that they agree with you? Is it not important? Or it's kind of eh. And you answer enough of these questions, and you get a good feeling for who you match with best. The candidates that put the most work in and put all these positions up there, and the voters who go and do the most of this, they're going to have very easy time of ranking their choices when it comes to ranked choice voting. The other thing it would have would be something like what Ballotpedia has, which has, the complete history of who funded people, what the seat is, how much was spent, what the district is, all these other things. And these would be provided by the local board of elections, which would tell you things like how many signatures do you need? What's the process of removal? What are the qualifications to run? How much does the job pay? What are the job's responsibilities? How many hours a week does the candidate have to actually show up? There are some jobs where you only have to show up once a quarter and you can keep that job as long as you'd like. We've had county commissioners who did or a county recorder at one time, I think, that did that. But all this information would be there. And, you say, well, that sounds really difficult. But let me point out something. You know more about what goes in a box of cereal right here with this little nutrition box, this information right here. And don't worry about the focus, okay? But this little box right here, I can put it up closer. Everybody's seen these. It tells you how many calories. It tells you, protein, all the rest of it. We should be able to do the same thing with political candidates. There should be a label that will tell you all that information generated from their answers on the questions. But, hey, they lie, right? That happens. But here's where it would get really interesting. Because every time they go to vote, those votes would be recorded and they would be categorized back into major categories. And so when you go to look at a candidate and say, well, climate change, and here would be all the votes they made on climate change, and you could see if they voted along with the way they said they would or did not, and you could catch them on it. So Ballotpedia does a good job of a lot of this, but it's still not a complete system. But for instance, my opponent, he voted nay on the American Rescue Plan of 2021. He voted nay on the For the People Act of 2021. Now note, these names don't necessarily mean what you think they might mean. He did vote yay for the National Defense Authorization Act for fiscal year 2022. Well, of course he did. He works for the base, people. He voted nay against the American Dream and Promise Act. He voted nay against the Equality Act. He voted nay against the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act because he doesn't care about infrastructure or jobs, only about defense. He voted nay on Safe Banking Act of 2021. He voted nay on Build Back Better Act. He voted nay on Women's Health Protection Act of 2021. He voted yea on the COVID-19 Hate Crimes Act. He voted nay on impeaching Donald Trump, President of the United States, for high crimes and misdemeanors. Of course. He voted nay on a concurrent resolution setting forth a congressional budget for the United States government for fiscal year 2022 and setting forth the appropriate budgetary levels for 23 through 31. So, yes, Ballotpedia has answers to major things, but if you want to go in and get granular, you have to go look at the House site and weed through all of those votes, and it can be daunting. Wouldn't it be a lot easier if you had answered a bunch of questions, you'd look at your site, your profile, and it would tell you how well you aligned with the candidate. So, voter information isn't just about giving you information to make better choices. It's also giving you better information to call them out when they don't do what they said they were going to do. It'll notify you, hey, somebody voted against something that they said they would vote for, or vice versa. Voter information systems also would save us a ton of money, because when was the last time a yard sign actually told you something? And those cost between $2 and $3 a piece. Never mind, they end up in the landfill. Or all those commercials that you just love to see during the fourth quarter when retailers are trying to reach you too so they can make a living. But no, we have to watch 10 ads for some political candidate when we've already made up our mind on how we're going to vote. Those ads on broadcast television are very expensive. And I think most of us get sick of them because they say the same thing over and over, and it's a 30-second sound bite, and it's not really relevant. So when you're comparing David Esrati to Mike Turner, the first thing you might want to do is go look at websites or do a Google search. You won't find very much that Mike Turner said in the last 20 years, and you won't see much online. And even when we've done research, we have a hard time pinning him down to get him to say anything of substance, like whether he supports Donald Trump and why he chose not to impeach him. You can find a ton of stuff about David Esrati because I posted on Esrati.com since 2005 over 3,000 posts uncovering corruption in local government, talking about our community, ways to improve it. And you can find stuff on Elect Esrati, including positions and platform and everything else. And you can see I think I've got over 300 videos on YouTube that I've made out of my own pocket, some of which are exposing things like Phil Plummer's jail, where pepper spraying people in restraints was common practice, or unveiling of a school board member who didn't live in the district. Those are the sorts of things I've done. How about showing you when a school board task force went and broke every sunshine law? Funded that as well. So there's lots of material out there, and there's things you'll find, and you may not like them, or you may like them, but the question is, what's Mike Turner have to say? Does he go online every day and talk to you and give you a chance to ask questions? No. Has he had any town halls? No. Does he visit with anybody unless you've given large amounts of money? Pretty much no. When he comes to town, he comes to do ribbon cuttings and make speeches. He doesn't really come to represent you, to interact with you, because remember, Mike Turner works for the base. So that's a quick rundown on voter information systems. I've got a link to I Side With, and the Ballotpedia in there. I'm going to find the old video for my PK presentation. This was like in 2005, or it was way back. I'll put that up, a link in there too, so you can watch that, where I spell it out in PK fashion. By the way, that's 20 slides, 20 seconds each. I should have said that earlier. So it moves along at a pretty good clip. It's always free to attend those events, and they even have, I think, free beer. It's all run by donations. It's a fun group to see, go out and hang out with. You can find out more about my campaign at electesrati.com. You can donate there. I'm kind of tickled today that Shepherd Ferry, the graphic designer who's known for his Obey Giant series and then the Obama poster back in 2007 or 8 that became iconic with hope and change and everything. Shepard made a sizable donation to my campaign today, and I really thank him for that. I've also, we're picking up steam here. We're starting to get our ads out on the air, and hopefully things will pick up. So here, you know, if you watch this after the broadcast, feel free to leave comments, questions. I'll answer them tomorrow. If you have questions now, get in before it's too late. And if you want me to talk about a specific subject, put them in the questions below, in the comments below. We'll get to it. Again, we're here every day, Monday through Friday at 4 o'clock, and I plan on doing this even once I'm elected to Congress, so you know what your congressman did each day when they're working for you and not the base. Thank you. I'm out of here. See you tomorrow.